just going to send it to her.
Yeah.
And I texted her and I said, hey, no pressure. I am getting ready to put out the wallpaper. Here's some of the examples of it. And she was like, great.
Yeah.
I'll connect you with the set designer. And then
I love that.
Suddenly I was talking to the set designer and
I
they were
love that.
ordering the wallpaper.
Yeah, it's, but to your point though, Fran, like you don't just come into something not prepared. Like,
No.
I mean, like if somebody's going to say, hey, we like to see your wallpaper, you're going to put a little deck together. You know what I mean? Hello, everybody, and welcome back to It Takes a Village. I'm your host, Delina, and today's special guest is Franchesca Ramsey, who is one of my good friends, and the reason why I was able to even get into makeup to begin with. We're going to talk about that and how that actually happened. And there's so many different things I could tell you about Fran. She also, first of all, I want to tell you she wrote a book called Well, That Escalated Quickly. We worked on the cover together. I mean, I didn't design the clothes or anything, but like I did the makeup. And I'm just so proud of her. She's amazing. She's been around on the internet for a very, very long time, but she's not an influencer, just so you know. She is an entrepreneur. And I am excited to have her on the show, and we're going to talk about her history, who she is as a person, and she's a marketing genius, and so we're going to get into that as well. Okay, 3 things before I go. Number 1, make sure that you go to subscribe to my newsletter. It's at delinamedhin.com. That's DeLinaMedhin.com. And leave me a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or here on YouTube. Let me know how you feel about the episode. And number 3... What's number 3? I always forget number 3. Number 3 is, share this with a friend. Share this with a friend if you like the episode. Okay, and with that, let's get into this episode. Franchesca!
Yay!
Welcome to It Takes a Village.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so happy to have you here. You're like the beginning of everything for me.
Oh my God, don't make me cry. I thought about this. I was like, man, Delina's I'm such like a mush.
Yeah.
And
you knew.
I know. And I'm also just so proud of you. And you have worked so hard, and it's so cool seeing you reach all these new levels of success. And so I'm so flattered that you would say I have anything to do with it. I was there, but like, I can't say that I did anything other than call you at the midnight hour and say, please fix my makeup for this thing I'm doing.
Okay. Look, wait. No, you're definitely being very humble, Franchesca. Okay, wait, let's take it like back to when we met, and then we're going to go actually to your story.
Okay.
But so when you and I first met,
we met on set.
We did meet on set. We met on a web series.
We met during a web series. Time is just so wild. I think that was 2015.
Yeah.
No, maybe 2014, maybe 2015. It was around there somewhere.
It was around there. I had been in New York only for a year. And I think at that point, you had even mentioned you were actually thinking about leaving like entertainment industry, everything.
I was, yeah. I mean, I have many moments in my career where I'm like, this is it. I'm done.
Yeah.
It's not working out.
That is true, actually.
Yeah.
You'd be like, you know what? I'm finished.
I'm done. Well, and this is related to this. I met you on the set of this web series, and I had been working on a web series with MTV, and I had already shot the pilot episode, and I met you. You did my makeup. When the pilot episode was being reviewed by MTV, they were like, Mama, your makeup looks crazy, because I had done my own makeup and I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
And they were like, we have to reshoot this. And I was freaking out, and I was just feeling like I've blown it. It wasn't good enough. It wasn't right. And so I texted you. We had just met on set, and I said, this is so random, but I'm doing this web series. Is there any way I can hire you to do my makeup? Because it just wasn't right when I did it. I just didn't know what I was doing. Mm-hmm. On-camera makeup is very different than everyday makeup. You came and did my makeup. It was incredible. You started doing my makeup for the whole show, and then for guests on the show, and then for the production company, and then for my pilot, and then for my book. And I was just like, is Delina available? I need Delina. You spoiled me.
No, literally. It's like, well, okay, so the crazy thing is this, and I think you know this now, but when you called me, I had quit my job like a month before. Did you know that?
I know this now, but I because I think when we met, you told me about working full time. You were like a scientist or something.
Scientist. scientist.
Delina is very smart. She's got the brains and the beauty, but like the brains are next level. Because when you told me what you were doing, I was like, oh, what? It was like a biomedical...
Chemistry.
Chemistry?
Okay.
Right.
Yeah,
and so
no, you're
I
right.
knew you were doing that at some point.
Yeah.
But then, I mean, look, you're an incredible makeup artist. And I had never had my makeup like really professionally done before you.
Yeah.
I don't wear a ton of makeup regularly.
Mm-hmm.
And so I didn't know what to do. And you snatched that face up. I was on set like,
girl,
I'm feeling myself.
It was one of those moments where everyone on set was like,
Who is that?
Like, even to this day, I look at that picture and I'm like, oh no, it still holds up.
Oh, the makeup was impeccable.
It was really good.
It was really, really good.
Yeah, and I remember, okay, so we bonded like immediately because you walked in and like you're right, you don't really normally wear makeup. And one of the first things I said to you was like, girl, what kind of makeup you have on? You're like, oh no, this is just...
You were like, what do you have on your skin?
This is my skin.
I said, nothing.
And I was like... oh my God.
If I had a dollar, I would have multiple homes. I would. You know what I tell people all the time, Delina?
What?
I say, if I start slinging skincare, you know I'm down bad because I'm lying to you. My skin has always been clear. I now wear sunscreen because of you.
I'm proud of you.
You know, I now have a routine where I make sure I take my makeup off at night and really get my face clean. And I use my what's it called? Millicent water?
Oh, micellar water. Millicent water.
I don't
is
even know.
crazy.
I don't even know what it's called. I'm just like, Delina said to buy this. Okay. And so like, that's it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing. And so I always joke, the day might come where I'm like, hey guys, this is my 10-step program.
Girl, you better run it.
I'm not doing a 10-step anything. My skin has just always been really clear. I shout out to my mom.
Yeah, shout out to mom.
But yes, you were wiping you were like, what's on here?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Literally, and I think I was using micellar water. I was like, there's nothing on this cotton pad.
I was like, yeah, I came to set with no makeup on. Isn't that what you're supposed to do?
Yeah. No, it's been such a pleasure knowing you because not only were you like an advocate for me, like where you were like, okay, I need to have Delina come do my makeup. You told everybody about me.
I know, Franchesca. And then I regretted it. Couldn't get. I needed Delina. I'm like, where's Delina? Sorry, girl, she's booked.
You're like, wait a minute.
Damn it. Why did I tell everybody? I was walking. See my makeup? Her name's Delina. I was like mentioning you on Instagram.
You were a walking billboard.
I really was.
I really appreciate it though. Even though you do regret it, I appreciate it.
No, I'm just teasing.
It changed my life.
Oh, well,
thank you.
I am somebody who I've always loved to see other people succeed. I realize that that's kind of my secret talent is I love pouring into people. And what's the opposite of gatekeeping? That's me.
Totally.
Because I'm like, go down to 3rd Street, in the back, behind the shoes.
Talk to Larry.
Then go under the bridge. Like, why am I? The person's like, ma'am, this is a Denny's. I'm like, I know, but I need you to know where I got this lip gloss. I just love seeing people connect with the opportunities that are right for them.
Mm-hmm.
And I just had such a great connection with you on set. And now here we are all these years later. I still consider you to be a dear friend. And I love when I see Issa Rae pop up on my Instagram and it says makeup by Delina. I love when I see you on the Today Show or whatever it is. It's like very cool. It's almost, it feels like I'm doing it. So, I'm appreciative that you're appreciative.
Yeah, you're such a champion of women. How did that start for you? Like, do you remember?
Oh, that's a really good question. I'm an only child, and I think that might be part of it, is that I've always wanted siblings. I was always begging my mom for siblings. She said, it's not going to happen, girl. And so...
She said no?
No, she said, absolutely not. She said, I love you, but having you was the hardest experience of my life. I'm never doing it.
She said never again.
She said never again.
Got it.
And so I have always poured into my friendships as if they're siblings, like chosen family. And you ride for me, I'll ride for you. I'm so flattered when people ask me for advice and they know that I'm going to keep it real with them. I don't know. I think I've just always had an ability to see people for who they are and just think of ways to like help them blossom. I don't know. It's just always, I think, been who I am.
Yeah, I remember you and I have talked about this a lot, but I'm like, you could have been a talent agent if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Because you, like, the connections that you made, like, okay, I'm trying to even think, like, Io, you gave her first, like, on-camera thing. She was a writer on your pilot.
Yeah, Jabuki was also in my writer's room.
Yep.
Kid Fury was in the writer's room for Decoded. Phoebe Robinson was in the writer's room for Decoded. Dylan Marin.
Yep.
I mean, truly, Matt Rogers. Like, I can turn on the television and I'm like, I should be getting 10% from all these people.
No, for real though.
But I love it.
Yeah, it's wonderful because it's like having an eye is like something that you can't, I don't think you can learn that. I think that's like innate. I think that's within like your gut and your soul purpose.
I will say, because of that, I am at a place now, as I am 41, I trust myself so deeply. There was a large part of my life where I really doubted myself. I really struggled with imposter syndrome. And unfortunately, I think a lot of women, Black women specifically, deal with that because the world is always telling us, you're too loud, you're taking up too much space, you don't belong here, be grateful for whatever. Now I'm at a place where I'm like, I know what I'm talking about. If I say that's the thing, that's the thing. If that's the right person for the job, I believe that is the right person for the job. You don't have to agree with me. I know. You're not going to make me feel stupid, or you're not going to make me feel like I don't know what I'm talking about. I love receipts.
Yeah.
Don't tell me I'm lying or I'm being disingenuous. I will be like, look right here, A, B, and C. And so that has really taken just time to get to a place where I'm like, oh, that's the one, or I really like that, or that's the direction I want to go in. And trusting myself has honestly been the best gift of my 40s.
When you were doing Decoded, I remember that there was a part where, so MTV Decoded was like, how long was that? 6 years? Was it 6 years we did it?
Yeah, 6 years. We started in 2015. Yeah, and we ended in 2019.
Okay.
Or 2020, actually. So, yeah.
Okay. So when we were doing Decoded, I remember at first you used to include the comments.
Yes.
Right? You remember that?
I do.
You would be like, all right, thank you so much, Lauren617. You know what I mean? And then you would say like what the comment was. And then there became this moment where like the comments started to become like pretty aggressive.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember you kind of turned that part off because it became too much.
Yeah.
But I feel like as your friend, I feel like also, I mean, there's so much sweetness and so much kindness to you. Mm-hmm. And like, oh, I feel emotional now.
Oh, don't make me cry.
I'm sorry. But it's like you're so sweet and you're so kind.
Yeah.
And I feel like you're so sweet and so kind that you created Decoded to make sure that people who didn't have a voice had a voice.
Yeah, thank you.
And I watched like some of the way that those people spoke about you, and it really hurt.
Oh, yeah.
And like, I also feel like it also created like a protective layer that you had to have around everybody because you got like, you were taking like the brunt of force. Like people, instead of actually speaking to that person, they would direct it towards you. How did that make you feel? And not just like the pain of it, but really like, how did you... Because I hate that happened to you. I have to be honest.
No.
Like I hate that happened to you.
Yeah, I do too. I think, and it's so interesting because you were there for all of it. And it's so interesting because when I had to kind of buckle down and create that layer, it was this moment of realizing some of this I have to take on the chin without people knowing about it, because the more I talk about it, the worse it gets. And so the show is about race and pop culture. And unfortunately, when you talk about race on the internet, especially as a Black person, especially as a Black woman, you're going to experience pushback. And, you know, as proud as I am of Decoded, the show was not radical by any stretch of the imagination, but you would have thought I was like full Black Panthered out. And I wasn't. I was making like puns, you know, like I was doing like pop culture jokes. And so I was really thankful that I had a therapist. That was like a big part of my strategy was, as I was getting ready to launch my book, I realized that I was not handling the stress of my online experience very well, and I needed help managing that. And I was really anxious about the book coming out and what everybody would say. And I had a pilot, and what if that doesn't go? And I just was taking on so much weight with all of those things. So having a great therapist was really good. Having friends who are not online, my best girlfriend, Shamika, who you know, we could not be more different. She doesn't know anything that's happening on the internet. And it's really nice because sometimes when I tell her about something, she's like, I don't even know what you're talking. Like, I don't know what any of those words mean. And it's a really nice reminder that the internet can feel really loud and all-consuming. And then when you talk to somebody on the street, they're like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like it's people are a lot louder about things that they don't like than they are about things that they do like. And so having that perspective has been really helpful for me.
Yeah. It's incredible because I feel like you're notorious for taking breaks.
Yes.
Because and it's so funny because you'll be like, hey guys, just want to let you know, I'm going on a social media break. I'll be back. And it's like, but the thing is most people I would say don't need to do that, but your fans are so engaged. They'll know.
They'll be like, where are you?
No, they're like, excuse me.
And even sometimes my friends will message. Sometimes I won't say anything and I'm just not online. And I'll get a message from someone. They're like, are you okay? I haven't seen you.
Yeah.
Are you okay? And I just say, I need a break. And I'm so fortunate that I can take breaks and that while social media has been a huge asset to my career, and I've built a great community there, and I pay some bills with my online presence, it's not the bulk of my income. And so when I need a break, I'm just like, okay, this is not healthy. I'm not doing this anymore. I need to get offline. And I always feel so much better not thinking about what everybody's thinking about me, even if it's positive. Sometimes everyone being like, yes, slay queen, and they're going to make me hate you. I'm like, oh my God, I'm a god. And then I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm a regular person. I need to step away. This is too much.
Wait a minute. You're like, hold on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I feel that those breaks, for myself, I would just say, for myself, breaks have been so healing. They've taken me out of the space of being not only that people's opinions matter, but just I don't know, just the scrolling of consuming all of the information that other people
I call it the doom scroll. And I didn't come up with that. I've heard other people say it. But especially in today's climate, there's this negotiation I think we're all making between being informed and being sane, because you start going down the rabbit hole and suddenly an hour has gone by, 2 hours gone by, and you've just been consuming negativity, and it's really, really difficult to pull yourself out of it. And again, I say this as somebody that I struggle with it myself.
Yeah. It is tough. It is tough. But breaks are amazing. And do you ever travel when you take those breaks?
I haven't. There have been a few times where I've been traveling and I didn't use social while I was traveling, but I didn't have it scheduled that way. I wasn't like, I'm going to do a social media break and then I'm going to go offline and, travel somewhere else. It's usually kind of been a random thing where I think I really just want to be more present. And if I'm thinking about capturing this for social media, that I'm not actually experiencing it, and I'm in a new country, or I was in Spain for my best friend's birthday and I was there with this big group of people that I had never met before. And so for me, I just wanted to enjoy them and learn about them and not think about how do I present this for social media? How do I show social that I'm having a great time? I just want to actually have a great time.
Yeah.
And so that was really freeing for me.
Yeah. Delon.
Yes.
Is that who you went to Spain with? Okay, so you have a podcast with Delon.
Yes, I do.
Called Let Me Fix It.
Yes.
And I really like it.
Thank you.
I remember texting you right after I listened to one of the first episodes, and I was like, wait, this is such a good idea.
Thanks.
Because it's also something that I talk to you a lot about is we'll talk about different companies, and it'll be what could they be doing better? What is this?
Always. I love texting you about makeup and being like, do you see this ad?
Yeah.
Do you see this packaging?
Yeah.
Da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
And that comes from, so I studied I went to school for graphic design, and then I worked as a graphic designer, actually mostly in beauty and fashion. I worked at Maybelline. Did we talk about this?
I did not know that.
I worked in the package department. I worked on Baby Lips. Don't know if you've ever heard of it before.
Baby Lips is actually very Fran coded.
It's so I feel so seen.
The packaging is very Fran.
I worked on it. I did. I worked on Baby Lips. I worked on Fit Me. And so I worked there for like 3 years. And I worked at Ann Taylor. And I worked at the city of Miami Beach. And so I learned a lot about marketing and design through those jobs. And so when I look at things in the world, my problem-solving brain is always just like, yeah, I don't like that type. I would move this here. I would do this there. And Delon and I do the same thing. We met in acting school. He was on Broadway and Come From Away. He's now teaching at Boston Conservatory.
You met in Michigan?
We met at Michigan, University of Michigan. And so he and I mean, we will talk on the phone for hours and we will just talk about people's careers and what we wish they had done differently. And so thus, Let Me Fix It was born. So we do a deep dive on a topic, a brand, a celebrity, a movie, a book, and then we each pitch how we would fix the thing that we're talking about.
It's such a cool idea.
Thank you.
And it also requires a lot of research.
Yes.
Which I know you love research because every show you do has some research in it.
I do. I think I just have a real thirst for knowledge and I try to be transparent about the fact that I don't know everything. And I think truthfully, when people say negative things about me, what is frustrating is I really hate being misunderstood. And there's often this prevailing theme of like, Franchesca's a know-it-all. And I'm not. Like if I don't understand something, I look it up. If I come into across a word I've never encountered before, I look it up. If everybody's talking about this person, I've never heard about them, I go, read their bio. Like I don't want to speak on something if I'm not informed.
Yeah.
And so, especially in the podcast space, if we're going to be talking about things in a constructive way, I want to make sure I know what I'm talking about. So we're pulling quotes, we're watching movies, we're going on IMDb and reading the trivia and the different fun facts about the film or the producers or whatnot. And it's really fun.
Yeah. You're a teacher.
I never thought of myself that way, but yeah, I am someone who has really found has a knack for taking things that are difficult to understand or talk about and sharing them in a way that's really digestible. I love analogies. I love personal stories. Like I feel like those really help people grasp onto big concepts. It's been helpful for me. And so I'm just thankful that anyone cares what I have to say when I share that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a theme. Like even when I think about like the book you wrote.
Yeah.
And like, well, that escalated quickly. And then it's like you're an accidental activist, which is so cute.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it's true.
Thank you. I mean, that's what
it's really like through the knowledge.
Yeah.
You became an activist.
Well, and I think for me that was really important because again, when we talk about identity and we talk about, subjects that are often life and death. And when you're saying to someone like, hey, this language is hurting me, or hey, this thing that you did was racist or sexist or whatever, people get really defensive. It's really hard for them to wrap their mind around the fact that they could harm someone even by accident.
Yeah.
And so for me, I thought it was really important to put myself out there and say like, hey, I've made mistakes too. Like I am now in this position where people are like, Franchesca is a champion. She's all these things. I'm like, I went to graphic design school. Yeah. Like, give me that Photoshop and I will slay. But this is not where I thought I was going to be. And I'm so, again, thankful that people care what I have to say. But I don't always get it right. I've made plenty of mistakes.
Yeah.
But my hope is that by being honest with those mistakes, it gives other people permission to be honest about their mistakes as well.
Yeah. So when we met, you were married.
Ooh, I think I was engaged.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah, I think I was engaged. I got married in 2016. Yeah.
Wait a minute.
I got married in 2016.
Okay, so how long were you married for?
I was married for 6 years, but I was with my ex-husband for 13 years. We started dating when I was...
Okay, you were together for a long time.
Yeah, we were together for a really long time. And I think we were engaged for like 2 years. It was a long time that we were engaged.
What was That's so interesting. And you live together.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we lived together. So I got divorced in 2019. This is my first time living alone as an adult, and
my gosh.
love it.
Yeah.
I always had roommates, and then I think when I left college, I was in my apartment for a few months by myself before my ex-husband moved in.
Yeah.
And then we moved to New York together, and I have always had another person living in my space.
Yeah.
And so living alone has been really eye-opening. I feel like I've learned a lot about myself.
Yeah. How does it feel being single?
It's interesting.
Oh, sorry, I assumed.
Oh, it's okay. Yeah, I think I would identify as single.
Okay, sorry. I was like, how's it feel being single?
I know. I was like, am I?
Yeah, you're like, wait a minute.
I
How do I?
I am still technically single. I mean, like I've been dating people, but like no one's serious.
Nothing
or
like
anything.
lockdown.
It's been really interesting, especially at this phase in my life and my career. Like I had to get off the apps. I kept getting flagged as a catfish. People kept thinking
they didn't think it was you.
They didn't think it was me. And then I'm not on Twitter anymore, but I remember shortly after I got divorced, someone tweeted, like, I think I saw someone impersonating Chescaleigh on this app. And I was like, oh my God. Or I would match with someone. I matched with someone one time and they were like, you're a catfish. And I said, I will tweet, I'm not a catfish, so you can know it's me.
Yeah.
And then I tweeted, I'm not a catfish. And then they were like, oh my God, this
It's
is amazing.
you.
It's you. And I was like, okay, I have to unmatch you. Like, I can't.
You're like, okay, now ew.
Okay, I mean, I needed to prove it was me, but also like, I don't want to date you. So that's been really interesting. And I think it's also like the LA of it all. Like I have gone on dates with people where I thought we had a great connection. And then I realized they were following me on social media. And so maybe they hadn't been fully transparent about how much they knew about me before.
Yeah.
Which I'm not opposed if you know who I am. Like I'm not like, ugh, I'm the shit.
Yeah.
But it's weird if I'm telling you things and you're like, wow, that's so interesting. We have that in common. And I'm like, but you already knew that. You knew that.
I actually talked about that today. Online.
Right.
You're like, wait a minute.
Yeah, so that's really weird.
Yeah, that
is
weird.
And then also like, man, all of our friends are married or in like long-term relationships.
Yeah.
It's really hard to just meet people anymore. Like everybody's locked down.
It's true. And like dating on apps is kind of weird.
Ugh.
Like it's very transactional.
It's the worst.
And I'm like, I'm so much more of like a relationship person. And I know you are too, where it's like you really want to like meet somebody through a friend or like meet somebody at a bar or
it's
like
also,
something more.
I think it's also just hard to talk to a stranger over a phone. Like I love to text and I think especially as a writer and as a comedian, I have an advantage as a texter because I'm like firing off
That's
jokes.
true, you are quite witty.
I'm like da-da-da-da-da, look at this. And then I'm like meme, emoji, article, this. Like I'm just like going. And so if I'm texting somebody who doesn't text like that, it can be like, whoa, overwhelming. And we might really vibe in person, but over text, they're like, and I love a voice note. So I send those a lot. And not everybody's like that.
Yeah.
So I think meeting in person is preferred for me because then I can actually get a vibe for you. And if we don't have text chemistry, it doesn't disqualify you immediately.
Okay, so I'm a phone person, which you know because I'll call you in the middle of you texting me. Like you'll be texting me and I'll be like, hello? And you'll be like, hello?
I know, I love it. Because sometimes just like, this is too much. We've now sent like 30 voice notes.
Yeah.
Let me just get on the phone with you. Yes.
I'm like, can we like, hold on, I gotta actually talk to you about this?
Yes.
And it always starts with like a hello?
We start laughing. We're like, I'm sorry, we just have to do this.
I'm sorry, we gotta get to the point. But honestly, the phone doesn't help with dating for me. Like I feel like even if, because people can be good phone people and not be good in-person people.
Yeah.
Like they can be like really good on, it's like texting. It's like there's a little like, you know how to throw a joke in there, you know?
I
don't
honestly.
know why am I doing this?
This is
But
how
clearly
we
hold it
yeah,
like this.
This is not how we hold phones.
Yeah.
I have not had that experience.
Yeah.
I feel like the phone, for me, it makes or breaks. I can tell a lot. I also will say during the pandemic, I did a lot of like FaceTime dates.
Okay.
Because I was like, I'm really not trying to catch COVID for somebody that I don't have any. I don't want to catch COVID, period.
I don't want to catch
but like,
COVID if we don't have a vibe.
Are you kidding me? You're putting my life in danger and you are just like boring?
Not a vibe?
No, absolutely not. So I was doing a lot of FaceTime dates and they were really good. They were really eye-opening because I am somebody who I'm like this with my friends. I'm like this with work. I'm like this with romantic partners. Like if I'm into you, I'm into you. I want you to know. I'm like laughing. I'm yes-anding. I'm tagging onto what you're saying. And I have found the male persuasion, sometimes they're very aloof.
Yeah.
And I don't like that. And on a FaceTime, you can tell where it's like, yeah, what's up? Hey. And I'm like, do you want to be? Do you have someplace else to be?
Because Excuse me, do you have plans?
Do you see who's sitting in front of you? Like, I'm very funny. I'm very charming. Like, I want to banter and whatever. And if your energy is kind of like, yeah, I could, I'm doing other things, whatever. I'm like, oh no, this is not going to work for me. Yeah. So I can tell a lot from those interactions, but I'm sorry to hear that hasn't been your experience.
No, it hasn't been great. It hasn't been great. I like with the FaceTime thing. I'm also kind of in like a break thing with dating in general.
Yeah.
I don't know how this turned into a dating show, but essentially I'm like, this is a dating pod.
This is us catching up, girl.
I'm like, yeah, because I'm really just like feeling, I don't know, a little bit overwhelmed with the idea of dating. It feels like I finally got to a place of, people are like, oh my God, you just gotta love yourself. And then you're like, they be telling you that at the wrong time. Like you just got out of a relationship and you're like, I am suffering right now.
Yeah, that's so real.
And then all of a sudden they're like, girl, you just gotta love you.
Yeah.
And but I actually have finally experienced what it feels like to actually like love myself and enjoy my own company. So I just like have this sense of peace, and I really feel like settling into that.
Yeah.
And I'm enjoying my friendships.
That's
much.
That's how I feel so much. Shamika has been saying she's been romancing her friends.
Ooh.
And that like we go to dinner together, we go on vacation. I'm a gift giver. I love the feeling I get when I give a friend a gift, and sometimes there's no reason. Yeah. I'm just like, I saw this for you in a store. And they're like, oh my God. And I'm like, I am getting just as much out of this. Usually those are things that we reserve for romantic partners.
I know.
And I'm really of the mind that you can absolutely do that with your friends.
Yeah.
I love a little gift. I love a little spa day. Let's like go get massages. Like let's just hang out and just enjoy each other's company because I love you and I care about you and I want to spend time with you.
Yeah. As long as it's in the calendar.
Yeah. Yes. Nothing last minute. Nothing. Don't roll up that.
Don't just be swinging by.
No, don't swing by. Please let me know ahead of time so I can clean up.
I can prepare.
Yes.
I can fluff a pillow.
Yes.
Yes. You do love a calendar invite, which I love too, actually. Like that is a game changer. Because then you can actually like plan because we're all like, as you get older, we're like busier.
Oh, yeah.
There's so much
it's
going
so
on.
funny because when I've talked about the calendar, it's very divisive. There are some people that are just like, I love flying by the seat of my pants, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, I'm talking about me. Me, Franchesca, love calendar. It's a few things. One, I'm type A, but also I am somebody who has multiple jobs. I have a lot of friends across many different areas of my life that have different schedules. I have friends that have kids. I have friends in other countries. I have friends on opposite side of the coast. I have, even in LA, I have friends on the west side. I have friends in Venice. And if I'm going to see these people, I need to dedicate time. How long is it going to take me to get there? I need to find a parking spot. Did I park in the wrong spot? Am I going to get towed? Do I have time to move? Can I go to the bathroom? All of these are things that I need to build into my calendar in order for me to not feel like totally a frazzled tornado when I show up somewhere.
Yeah.
And it makes me feel in control in a world where I don't have control over a lot of things.
Go into that.
Well, I don't have control over my career. I don't, as an actress, I don't have control if they're going to book me. And then if I get booked, am I going to get cut? Which I've had happen before, where you shoot the thing and then you're like, okay, and then you're not in it. I sold a show recently, and when I say recently, I mean 7 months ago. It took 7 months for my deal to close, and I meaning I wasn't paid until the deal closed. So I didn't have control over when I was going to get paid. As a content creator, I don't have control over if a video is going to go viral and do well. I don't have control over how much I'm making in brand deals or in partnerships. None of those things are things I can dictate.
Yes.
And so what I can control is when I go to the gym and when I walk my dog and how many steps I get in and how many friends I see this week and how much content I put out or how many pages I write on a project. Those are things I can control. And so that's been really helpful for me to manage my anxiety. Otherwise, I can get into a spiral where I'm just like, oh, and this and this and this and this and this. And I just have to center myself and say like, okay, what can I control?
Mm-hmm.
And I will focus on that. And that calendar will stay organized.
Period. Okay, speaking of viral content, you are like the queen of creating viral content and consistently.
Yeah.
Like you started from shit white girls say to black girls.
Yes.
Which is like, it was funny in your book how you like abbreviated it because it was like so much to say.
Yes.
It was like SW. Like it was like, yeah. What do you think it takes to make viral content? And I know that's a very loaded question.
Yeah.
But if somebody's like, oh, I really want to make something that just goes
Yeah.
viral. And then somebody could be me.
Yeah. I mean, the thing I always tell people is you can't control when something's going to go viral. All you can do is lay the foundation for it to happen when it's supposed to happen. And I will say that it is honestly the best time in like the internet landscape in order to find your audience. It used to be a much bigger uphill battle to get your content seen. Now through the TikTok algorithm and through Instagram's Discover page, like Threads where you can have 0 followers and just one post just suddenly get seen by lots of people. There's so many different platforms that are helping push creators of all different sizes. Versus back in my day, like you had to really work for years sometimes before something popped off. And for me, I'd been making videos for about 6 years before Shit White Girls Say to Black Girls.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
So you started, what year did you start?
2006. It will be 20 years next year, which is
wow,
bonkers. But if you really, for me, again, I try to tell people, aiming for going viral is going to burn you out because you just don't know when it's going to happen. And in my experience, it's often the thing that you're like, oh, whatever, I'm just going to put this up. And then it's like, why was that the thing versus the video that I spent all this time working on and scripting and editing and filming and then it just doesn't work out. And so for me, I tell people really kind of being consistent in your point of view and consistent in the kind of content that you're creating and making sure that you're making content that's resonating with your audience and providing value so that they're getting something out of it. And I think right now, because it is really accessible to be a content creator, everybody thinks that they can do it. And so a lot of the content that I see is very self-centered content, and there's no reason for me as an audience member to watch and engage with it. So I see lots of people being like, no, my stuff's not hitting. And then I go look at their page and I'm like, all you're doing is like talking about yourself. Like, what do I get out of this?
Interesting.
As an audience member.
To ask more about that, because I feel like there's a lot of people saying things like, I'm the niche or I need to be the niche. What does that mean in terms of still making sure that you're making something for other people?
I mean, look, I don't think it's bad to talk about yourself or your perspective on the world. I do that a lot myself. And truthfully, I don't know that I've ever really had a specific niche. I'm doing all sorts of stuff. I'm like, I'm cooking. Now I'm doing fashion stuff. Now I'm doing makeup stuff.
That's true.
Now I'm doing hair stuff. Now I'm doing sketches. Now I'm doing impersonations. Like, so I am the niche. Sure, like it is my perspective. But when you show up to watch my content, you get something out of it. And again, I think a lot of people are so focused on the numbers and the going viral that they forget that social media is supposed to be a conversation. So if you're just talking at me and telling me about how great your life is and all the expensive stuff that you own or whatever, that can work for some people, but it's a very small amount of people that I find that works for. And if it does work, I question the longevity of it. And I've watched a lot of people come and go. I've watched a lot of people who've been very successful for a few years, 3-5 years later, it's not sustainable. They haven't figured out a way to keep the audience engaged because the audience isn't getting anything out of it.
Okay. I want to get more into this, like getting something out of it.
Yeah.
Because like I want to understand, like, what are you saying?
The easiest way for me to describe it is like value.
Okay.
So when I'm watching your video, I'm getting makeup tips.
Okay.
I'm getting instructions on how to build my confidence. I'm learning how to change a tire. I'm learning, like I'm walking away from the video, and sometimes the value is it's making me laugh.
Yeah.
It's making me think.
It could be entertaining.
It can be entertainment, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that one's a little harder, honestly. I think it's easy. Some people think like, oh, comedy is really easy. Like, it's actually really hard to make people laugh. You really have to subvert expectations. You have to kind of make them think you're going this way and then you go a different way. There's like a relatability factor. You know, you think about so many comedians that are like, Jerry Seinfeld, what's the deal with this? We all know about this thing, so like we're all on board. So it's a little bit more work, but humor is a value add for your content. You're surprising me. You're making me think about this thing in a way that I've never thought about it before.
Yeah.
I think a lot of folks are just thinking about the output. They're not thinking about what does the audience member, what's the value add? And I think especially right now, because we are having so much information thrown at us, you are competing with so much. That endless scroll is happening. Like if I don't know what this video is about and what I'm getting out of it, I'm moving on. Mm-hmm. And there's going to be 100 more videos like just coming up in like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And so if you're not thinking about how to break through, you're not going to hook people.
Yeah. To your point about Jerry Seinfeld, I went and watched him in Radio City.
Okay.
And I thought it was so interesting. He was able to – this is my first time seeing him. It was probably like 2022 maybe. And something that I thought was really cool that he did was that he knows his audience so well that who he was talking to, it was like Jerry didn't have money. I was like, Jerry, we know that you're rich.
Well, I think that to his credit, I think you're right in the sense that like he's able to be like the everyman, the relatability factor. And we were just talking about this, so many people having this conversation around, oh, New York City influencers are boring, they're not relatable, whatever. And I think there is a moment in some people's careers where they become successful and they stop being relatable because their whole brand is about how fancy my house is and the clothes that I'm wearing and all of those things. And, you know, whatever you think about Jerry Seinfeld as a person, his brand has remained consistent in that, like, yeah, he's making a lot of money, but he's not dressing in a way that makes you feel like, oh my God, he's got a ton of money. He's talking about everyday experiences on the plane, at the grocery store. Like, these are all things we can relate to versus if a stand-up gets up there and they're like, so I was at Bergdorf Goodman, and you know how they give you, and you're like, what? I don't know what you're talking about. Or, you know, I was at Erewhon buying a $35 strawberry. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. Right. So, and I think it's really hard for content creators when your content is focused on you to not make all of your content about like, oh my God, now I live in a more expensive place and I got this new car and I have all these things. It can be really hard for your audience that's like, well, we're about to go into a recession. Like, I don't want to hear you talk about how much money you're spending on all those things. What am I getting out of this? Now I'm feeling bad about myself. Now I'm feeling jealous. I'm thinking about all the things I don't have. I don't really want to watch this anymore. And I don't think you can – I think there's a way to navigate that as you have career success. I think it's just difficult for people to separate my life inspires my content, but my life is not my content. Ooh. And I think that's something that I've had to get better at over time. And I'm just thankful that I figured that out enough to be like, you know what? I'm going to close this door. And I'm not going to tell you about every single thing that's going on in my life because my life is not my content anymore.
I love that.
Yeah.
So it was like a point you got to. Listen, this content masterclass that you're about to do is going to be so good. I'm coming.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm so excited about it. Like, Also, it was very genius to put it in the newsletter. I've been
Thank
subscribed to your
you.
newsletter for like
Oh,
years.
thank you so much.
And I love the fact that you put it in the newsletter like, hey guys, just as a heads up, this is what's going on.
Well, and you know what I'm going to say?
Yeah.
I'm going to shout out to my friend Lovey, because Lovey is the one that encouraged me to do that. She has been another person who has just always poured into me, and she's such a genius when it comes to marketing. And she's so funny because when I told her, she really said to me, like, Franchesca, you have to do this masterclass.
100%.
She was like, you have to do one. And I was like, I know, I just don't really know. And she was like, bet, let's get on the phone. She just called me up. She's like, okay, here's what we're going to do. And I was just like taking notes, like listening to her, because I know I have a lot to offer. I lack like the sales knowledge. I am just somebody who is so forthcoming with my knowledge. Like, again, I'm the opposite of the gatekeeper. So it's hard for me to be like, okay, I'm not going to tell you, pay me first. Like, that just like makes me feel so uncomfortable. I'm just like, I'd rather just tell you. So Lovey gave me a lot of really good encouragement. And
shout out to Lovey, man.
I know.
She's so amazing.
She is so freaking smart. She's so smart. And if you ever get a chance to have her on the podcast,
I would love to.
She would be a great guest because she has so much knowledge, and she really is somebody who has just worked from the ground up and tried a lot of different things. And I was just saying this to my trainer the other day. We were talking about the class, and she was saying, oh, I want to make content, but I always have a hard time, and I can't get over the part of like, it feels cringy. And I was like, you got to get over the cringe. You have to just acknowledge that when you start anything new, it's going to be cringe. And so we started calling it Cringe Mountain.
I like that.
You got to get over Cringe Mountain. And that's really hard for any creative person. There's a great quote from Ira Glass, who hosts This American Life, where he talks about, as creative people, our taste level is up here. And when we start, we're down here. And it's really, you're like, you start making something, you're like, this looks like shit. It should look like this. It's like, well, mama, you just started. You have to like, you have to keep going and meet in the middle. And you're looking at somebody who's gotten over Cringe Mountain, and you're going, why is my content not look like that? It's like, yeah, because you have to like put out a bunch of stuff that's not good first in order to get there.
That's so good. What is your self-talk like?
Oh, God. You know, I am really at a place where I talk to myself out loud all the time. I'm having full-blown arguments. And it helps me so much, especially when somebody says something wild to me on the internet and I really want to respond. Instead, I have like a full-blown argument in my apartment. And I'm like, and another thing.
And you know what else?
And I'm not done. Let me take my shoes off. And so similarly, I have started like writing affirmations. And this came from doing the Artist Way, where there's a exercise where you write what the negative voice says, and then you counteract the negative voice, and you like write to yourself, and you say like, I'm really talented. I'm really hardworking. People love being around me. I am an asset to every project that I work on. And so I write all those things, and then I like say them back to myself, and it's really, really helpful. And I think more of us have to get comfortable with that, because the negative voice, I think most of us have had a lot of practice with the negative voice. It's really uncomfortable and cringy, even if no one's around, to be like, yeah, I'm that girl. I am. And it's just not, I think, in most people's nature. And so that's been something that I've really dedicated myself to working on. Yeah.
That's so good. Marketing.
Yes.
What's the best marketing that you are looking at right now where you're like, ooh, they are killing it?
The best marketing? That's a really good question. I don't know that I can think of anything off of the top of my head. I mean, I will say, especially because the landscape is so filled with different TV shows and stuff, word of mouth is still king. Safe Space could not get into Severance, but the way everybody is talking about that finale, I gotta watch it. I'm like, I tried. I gave it 3 good tries. I gave 3 episodes, but I'm seeing everyone talk about it. And it's really hard to get people to talk about things. And especially in the streaming of it all, where everyone's binging everything.
Yeah.
For a show like Severance to make you wait every week.
Who's in Severance?
Adam, what's his name? He was in Parks and Recreation.
Okay.
And a bunch of people that I don't know by name.
Okay.
I think Adam, I can't remember what his last name
What
is.
network is it on?
It's on Apple TV.
Oh, I do like Apple TV shows.
Well, and I will say, and you know what?
Yeah.
And Apple does not really advertise.
They do not.
They really don't.
They're taking that iPhone approach.
They got the iPhone money. They're like, either you have it or you don't.
Either you got the subscription or you do not.
But I will say,
Yeah.
when I hear somebody say, you know what, I really like this show, and it ends up being on Apple, I'm like, gosh, I've heard a lot of people talking about this.
Yeah.
And so I think it's counterintuitive for a lot of people because they say, share the podcast, share the blah, blah, blah. And like, you can tell people to do it, but they're going to do it if they feel compelled to. And like, you have to give them something that's so good. Like, think about when you send a meme or a video to somebody.
Yes.
Usually they didn't say like, send this to 5 friends. But if it's really funny, you're
You'll
like,
just
girl, you gotta see this. And you send it, have you, or you're talking about, have you seen that TikTok?
Yeah.
That's like, da-da-da-da-da. Let me look it up. It was just that good.
It was just that good.
You just had to send it.
You just
so
had to send it.
everybody's talking about Severance right now. Again, I didn't finish season 1. Now I'm determined
Now you got to
get back
Now I
in.
have to. I'm like, you're talking to me. I'm like, oh, wait. Oh, have you been watching Paradise? I haven't finished.
I have not watched Paradise, but
It's
I've heard
very good.
I've heard a lot of people say it's really good.
It's really good.
I'm watching that White Lotus right now.
Oh,
That's my girl.
is it good?
Oh,
I love Natasha Rothwell.
I'm really into it. And I like when I watch shows, I go on Reddit and I love reading like what everybody thinks about it. Like all the
'Cause
fans.
they give dissertations.
Oh,
They'd be like, excuse me, at this point where she looked at this person, and you're
they're
like,
like, did you notice her pinky was up when she drank from the glass? That's because, and I'm like, how did you notice that? Like, I love it. I feel
Yeah.
like I get to do a deep dive after I watch something. So there's a lot of really smart people over on Reddit breaking down shows for free.
yeah.
And really just giving me like new perspective on all of these shows.
And you're working on a show.
I am. My writing partner, Shamika, who I often say is my work wife.
Yes, I love Sham. She's the best.
She is
She's like Zen.
She's
in
the
human
opposite
form.
of me. She is the opposite of me. Like, I am the most like control freak ever. And she's like, go with the flow. We just could not be more different. And I love that about her, right? Like, when I need a break, I go off social media. When she needs a break, she goes to a silent retreat in the woods in New York. And she's like, I'm not going to have my phone for 2 weeks. When are you coming back? I don't know. She won't buy a return plane ticket. I'm like, well, how do you live your life? She's like, I don't know. I'll just figure it out.
She's like, it'll just happen. Baby.
Whatever.
Trust in that universe and the flow.
Yeah. So
love
she
that.
and I have now sold 4 television shows together.
Wow.
Yeah. None of them have gone to series. Knock on wood. I hope.
okay. She
I
still
hope
got
this.
paid.
I hope she sure did. I hope this one does.
Me too.
But I will say what's been really nice, and I have found this with a lot of things in my life, where something doesn't work out, and in the moment I'm like really upset about it, and then a few years later I'm like, oh, I'm really glad that didn't work out. It was not the right thing for me.
Ooh.
I wasn't ready. Or I find out who did get the job, and they're like, oh, I'm miserable, and something was protecting me. They say rejection is protection.
I love that phrase.
Yes. So similarly, Sham and I have sold all these shows. They haven't gone. And now we have this show where it's been like a dream. It's been so easy to work on. And it's been all of these things we've learned from other things. Like, for example, when you're writing a show, we're doing multicam. So they actually are building a set.
Okay.
Those sets cost money. And so like while we're writing, we're like, yeah, we got to cut one of these sets. It's going to cost too much money. They're not going to make this. There's too many locations.
Okay.
What if we make this in the apartment instead? We're like, let's cut the school. But we only have that knowledge because we had other things that didn't go. And they were like, well, it's too expensive. So we've learned a lot just through trial and error. Or one time I had a producer, you have to turn in an outline before you write the pilot. And the outline is kind of like, this scene happens, this scene happens, this scene happens. So we turned in this outline and our producer ripped it apart. She was like, this is wrong. This is not right. She was so brutal. And Sham and I were like kind of heartbroken. And so she sent us an example of an outline that she had written, and we used that as the example. And then when it was time to write the script, it was like the easiest experience in the world because we had written this really robust outline. And we were like, she really knew what she was talking about.
Wait a minute.
You know how to do your job.
You really good at that.
You really ate that. You really did. You've got some TV shows on the air. So again, it was a thing in the moment. I was like, oh, I'm so angry that she gave us these notes and she was so hard on us. And now every outline experience that I've gone into, I'm using all the things that she taught us. And it's just like made the experience night and day.
That's so cool.
So, again, I really hope the show goes to series.
Me too. I'm going to put it out there.
Thank you. I hope so too. It's been such a fun process. And, again, what I love about Shamika, and I encourage all creative people to do, is if you can find that person who's like a good compliment to you, and not just a compliment creatively, but a compliment passion-wise. Like when, even though Sham is in her woo-woo, era, when we have a meeting on the calendar, she's there. Mm-hmm. When we say we're going to get these pages done, she gets them done. Mm-hmm. Like she is very consistent, and over time, that's been something that I've really come to appreciate, because a lot of times you're like, I really like working with this person, but they're never on time. I can't rely on them. Mm-hmm. Typos all over the place. I tell them to do something, they forget. And I meet a lot of people who say, I'm trying to work on this project with my friend and they're just not pulling their weight. It's like, well, maybe they're not your creative person and you have to move on from them because y'all are not a good match passion-wise. And you don't want to be trying to convince someone to have as much passion for the thing that you have. You want to be at the same place and kind of build together.
Absolutely. That's such good advice. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
That was so good. You're going to be in Survival of the Thickest, season 2.
Yes. So the show came out today. I haven't watched it yet.
That's so exciting.
I know. And
Michelle Buteau.
Michelle is like
the best.
An incredible friend. Truly one of the hardest working people that I know.
Literally.
When I say that girl stays with a check, she
stays
has
with a check.
8 jobs going at one time. She is so hardworking. And also a really good friend. Like she is so active. She's also a random phone call. Love a random phone call from her. And so, she had season 2 of the show, and I didn't get to participate in season 1 because I was working on something and my schedule didn't work out. And so I got to be in this season, and seeing her on set was so cool. It was really inspiring. She knows every single person's name on set.
I love that.
She walks on a set and she's like, hey, Jim, how's the kids? Hey, so-and-so, did he do the soccer game? Okay, he scored the goal. Cool. She's every single person, she knows something about them. Yeah. She has an inside joke with them. Like we're on the 30th take and she's trying new things. There was a take where she had to climb up on a stage and she was doing a barrel roll and she was doing I was like, I'm exhausted, and I had like 5 lines. And I was, how are you? It was just so inspiring, and I just had truly one of the best experiences on set, and I can't tell you how long.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's so nice to work with your friends.
It's also really nice to see people get their flowers.
Amen.
Like I met Michelle, I want to say like over 10 years ago. Yeah, maybe around 10 years ago. And she's a little bit older than me. And she was kind of in the space of like, oh, I'm working so hard and I don't know what's going on. And it hasn't worked out for me. And I was, encouraging her because I just met her and I really liked her. And I watched her work so hard. And then I watched it all happen. And suddenly Michelle was everywhere. And people are like, where did this girl come from? And I had the feeling that a lot of us have, like, she's been here.
Doing this.
She's been here. Yep. You just didn't know. And she just didn't get discouraged. She just kept at it. And I have a lot of friends like that. Like I'm friends with Janelle James, and I've watched her just have this like massive success, and Quinta is another one, and Lacey Mosley. Like I've watched so many people who, could have given up and they didn't.
Yeah.
And so that really inspires me to keep going. And all of those people have offered opportunities to their friends and helped put people on. And that's the kind of person that I am, and that's the kind of people I want to continue surrounding myself with.
Yeah, I remember when you told me, because you had that wallpaper collection. You had the wallpaper collection, and you said, Quinta, I think, is going to put it in the show, because you told me before it actually happened.
Yeah.
And she used the wallpaper collection in Abbott Elementary.
Yeah.
Which is so freaking cool.
Yeah, it was so cool. We went to lunch together, and she and I have been friends for a really long time.
Since BuzzFeed days.
Yeah. And when I was at Nightly Show, I pitched her as a guest at Nightly Show.
Really?
And I was like, you don't know who Quinta is? You have to have her on the show. And so she was a guest on the show. And we had never met in person at that point. We were just like online friends. And so she came and did the show, and we went out to dinner. And so this was like 2016. And we've been friends for a few years online. And we just have stayed in touch. And another person who has sold many shows that did not make it to air. So she and I talked about those all the time. And so we went out to dinner, or we went to lunch, and she was like, what are you working on? And I said, oh, well, I'm coming out with this line of wallpaper inspired by the murals in my apartment. And she was like, oh, you should send it to me. Like, we're going to see Janine's apartment next season. Maybe we could use it in the show. And I was just like, no, okay. Like, I didn't think.
Yeah.
I just didn't think not that I didn't believe her.
Right.
But
that's nice.
That's nice.
Yeah.
And maybe you've had this too, because we have so many friends that are really successful.
Totally.
I never want to ask them for anything. I never want you to think that like my friendship with you is transactional. I'd rather us stay friends than have us work together. For me, the friendship is more important. So I'm not asking her, put me in the show, No, I'm not doing any of that. You are my friend, and that's what our relationship is. So when she said, oh, I would love to use it on the show, I didn't really think, I was like, okay. And then when we were working on the wallpaper and we were getting close to coming out with it, I was like, you know what, I'm just going to send it to her.
Yeah.
And I texted her and I said, hey, no pressure. I am getting ready to put out the wallpaper. Here's some of the examples of it. And she was like, great. Yeah. I'll connect you with the set designer. And then
I love that.
Suddenly I was talking to the set designer and they were ordering the wallpaper.
Yeah, it's but to your point though, friend, like you don't just come into something not prepared. Like, no. I mean, like if somebody's gonna say, hey, we like to see your wallpaper, you're gonna put a little deck together. You know what I mean? Like you're not like, hey girl. You know what I mean? You're gonna be like, here you go.
Yes.
Here's
right.
A, B, and C. This is how I see it.
Yes,
my girl is professional.
You are absolutely
right.
Correct.
Yeah.
You really are. I credit my mom. My mom is very put together. Yeah. And I will also say, I remember when I was in high school, it used to annoy me that she would always press me to be prepared. She would say, we're not leaving the house with no bra strap showing. The nail polish is chipped. You got one earring on. Where your earrings at? Turn around. Turn around. I'll be like, man, what is she talking about? Yeah. I always just thought she was being so unreasonable.
Yeah.
But she was being so unreasonable. And she would always say to me, Franchesca, you need to show up and like look like you're somebody. When you get there, you want people to go, who is that? Who is that? Mm-hmm. And so now that is something that I've carried to this day. I don't care if I'm in the grocery store.
Yeah.
I want to look put together.
And you do.
And I do. And it makes me feel good. And I think the thing that I've carried with me from that is that if you don't feel good about where you're at, there is a way that you can transform that feeling. And it doesn't have to be, you're doing full glam, but like putting on my favorite sweatshirt and like, just treating myself, it really goes a long way. And so similarly, if you want to work with me or we're taking a meeting, I'm going to pick the cute corner of my apartment. I'm going to put my lights up and I'm going to have a little glam and I'm going to show you like, I'm taking this seriously.
Yeah.
I want you to know that Franchesca comes prepared. She's on time. She's early.
Mm-hmm. Always.
She's actually always early.
You are always early. You are always early.
And they don't, Delina, they try to drag me when I say,
really?
Be early.
Oh.
Yeah, because
you're early. I've worked with you for a long time, and I've never seen you come anywhere late.
Right. And I always say, if I'm late, start a podcast about my disappearance. Something happened to me.
You remember that one day?
Francesca's not going to be late.
No, literally, no, because when I tell you I was like in tears, I was so worried something happened to you.
What happened that day?
Girl,
I don't remember.
So we were supposed to meet, I don't know if we were supposed to meet on a Wednesday instead of a Tuesday, but you had texted me and Annette, who I love.
Yeah.
Who used to do your locks for years.
Yeah.
And you had us in a group chat and you were like, it's this day. And I think you forgot to send us, no, you did. You forgot to send us the actual date. So Annette and I show up.
And I wasn't there.
And not only that, you weren't answering the door. So I was like, oh my God, something happened.
Oh my God.
Girl, and when I tell you, I was hysterical. And that was like, are you okay? And I was like, no. I was like, something is going on.
Oh my girl.
And you were like, I think you had to give me a hug.
But you know what? Here's the thing. I now remember this very vividly. And I always make this joke. But the reality is, part of my strategy for being early is because in the event I ever am late, I know folks will give me grace because I'm always early.
Yeah.
I'm always early.
You are.
And especially in LA, there's this very like lackadaisical, everybody's late. And I'm like, this is not cool. I have places to be. I'm going to show up early so I can make sure I know where I'm going. I've got my parking spot. You know, I never want to be rushed and then I don't feel like I can do my job appropriately or be present with whoever I'm with. And I've had so many times where I've said, that's the cheat code, especially if you're working in entertainment.
Oh,
when time is money.
Girl, because honestly, just being on time, you'll get booked more. You'll get booked in general. Because they'll be like, oh, I'd rather have her, even if she's not even the most,
if she's reliable.
If the talent's going to be there, the talent's going to get booked. I'm just saying.
I hope they're going to listen when you say it. Because when I said it, they tried to drag me. And I said, you know what?
Okay.
My bills stay paid.
Yeah.
So you show up when you going to show up. I will be early.
You try that.
I will be early.
Exactly. Okay, viral content. We have to go back to Leopards.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Because that was like a big moment. Okay, I know you can't know if something's going to do well, but did you kind of know that was going to go well?
I've gotten this question so many times.
Okay.
I didn't know, but I was aiming for it.
Okay.
Let me explain.
Okay.
So on TikTok, there are a lot of songs that are what they call like a sound, meaning that people like lip sync to it or they do a challenge to it.
Okay.
And it's just a song that can be used and applied to all different sorts of things, right? Like maybe you've seen most recently, it's like there's a song and the line is 21 with no kids. And everyone's like dancing and they're saying like how old they are and that they don't have kids.
Okay.
And so it's like a meme, but it's a sound. So I had seen a girl do a song called Girl Dinner. And it was about the fact that sometimes she doesn't feel like having a full dinner and she's just going to eat a lollipop for dinner. And so the song was like, girl dinner, girl dinner, girl dinner. It was so funny. And I was like, this is genius. I swear she's like 18 years old. She's like a social media maven. She's millions of followers.
Okay.
And I just thought it was so clever. And I was like, oh, I want to write a song that everyone can like use. So I started trying to write a song that people could use. And I wrote like 5 songs that bombed before the Leopard song. I wrote, if it's not on the calendar, it's not going to happen.
Okay. Nobody like
did
it.
Okay.
Okay. I was like,
the girls weren't feeling the calendar song.
The girls were like,
it did
Here she goes talking about the calendar again.
Okay. It didn't hit.
Okay.
It actually did better on Instagram than it did on TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
And people were like showing their calendar like with the song. And people were like writing in their journal with the song. And I was like, ooh, this is cool. Like it's doing the thing that I want, just not at the scale.
Okay.
So then I wrote a song about salad. Like how much I love we love like a fat salad.
I love a fat salad.
I love a salad that just has like loaded up with stuff. So I made like the salad song, bombed. I made a song about having a midlife crisis. Like, am I going through a midlife crisis and like all the ways my life has changed? I got divorced. I moved to LA. I came out as queer. Like, I cut my hair off. Like, just all these changes. Bombed. Then I did a song, instead of an empty apology, write a check. And it did really well. It got like 700,000 views the first time I did it. And I was like, whoa.
That was a good one.
I was like, whoa, okay, I think I figured this out. So then, I came across this story about this Black gay Republican who got beat up at a Trump rally. And the first thing I thought about was this iconic tweet that says, "Oh, I never thought the leopards would eat my face," said the woman who voted for the leopard eating face party. And I was like, okay, maybe this is the song. And I couldn't sleep. I was in bed, like singing into being like, I never, no. I just like was trying all these different ways to do it. And then I put it out and it hit instantly. Now, mind you, this was 2023.
Oh.
It was 2023 that I did that song. And I think the first time I did it, it got like 1 million views. And then I did a few more songs. I did a song called I Would Like to Know Less About You when someone overshares. I did that one. I did a few songs, but the Leopard song, what happened is people started tagging me and being like, Franchesca, you have to sing the Leopard song for this story. You have to sing the Leopard song for this story. I thought I was going to sing the song one time and people would share it and that would be it. And then people were like, you got to put it on iTunes. It's like, I don't know how to do that. So I'm like looking up, how do I put a song on iTunes? And I put it on there. And then, people just kept asking me for it. And it doesn't always go viral, but if it doesn't do well on TikTok, it usually does well on Instagram and vice versa. I think I had one recently on Facebook that did like 1 million views. I think the most I've gotten is maybe like 5 million, but I think I've done like 50 versions and I try to change the lyrics every time. I try to do different genres. I've done it in Spanish. I did it with a full choir. I'm doing it with a mariachi band next month. I launched merch, and this again was people saying, oh, we love the Leopard song. We want merch. So I designed like bags and mugs and
I remember it got so intense. Like you were like, okay, guys, just hold on. I'm working on the merch. I remember you were like, I'm looking for an assistant. I need some help. It was like,
shout out to Tanya. Tanya's running that store, girl.
Yeah.
All of the emails were coming to me. The first day that I put out merch, I spent 6 months testing everything because I am a perfectionist. And I wanted to make sure that if I put my design on something, it's going to look good, the quality is going to be right. So I've been working on this thing. And then truthfully, the election happened. And I was like, you know what? I keep holding myself back. If Donald Trump can be the president, I could put this frickin' merch out. So I put out the bag. And the first video I made about it went viral. I think it did 1 million views in one day.
The video about the bag.
Yeah. And so I sold like 1,000 bags in one day.
Wow.
And every order was coming to my inbox because I didn't freaking know. I thought I was going to sell like 100.
Yeah.
And it was every email that was like, hey, I put my apartment wrong. Actually, I want to get 2. I used to live in New Jersey. Now I live in Connecticut. Can I change? And I was like, oh my God, what do I do?
Yeah.
It was insane. And so I posted on social, I posted a picture of me crying. I was like, I am so overwhelmed. I don't, like, this is just too much. And a girl slid in my DMs who was one of my followers. And she was like, hi, I'm a Shopify specialist. Here's my LinkedIn. I would love to set up a meeting with you to talk about your Shopify. And I was like, sure. Girl, she put together a PowerPoint.
Oh, she was like,
She
said, I know who I'm dealing with.
Oh, I said to her, I was like, how did you know? She was like, she's like, I've been a fan for a long time. She put together this beautiful PowerPoint that was like, who's the client? Franchesca. And it was like a picture of my headshot. And she was like, what's the objective? Help her manage the Leopard's merchandise store. And it was like a picture of like a cool leopard. I was like, Tanya, you're incredible.
Yeah.
And
I love that.
And we put together a strategy, and now she handles like all of my customer service and she designs the site. And when I want to launch new things, she helps me, and she's really good at marketing. And so she always will give me little ideas. And
Shout out to Tanya.
Tanya is I call her my Shopify angel.
Ah.
She just, she just showed up in the middle of me being like, I'm so overwhelmed, and just really has been helpful. But yeah, Leopard's merch.
That's amazing.
I didn't.
People can get that at what? What is the website?
You can go to shop.franchesca.net.
Okay.
And Franchesca is FRANCHESCA.net.
Okay. So your website.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about this, but you came out as queer.
I did.
Okay, so like, was that scary to share with the world?
Yeah, not really.
Okay.
I think, here's the thing. In hindsight, there's so many parts of my life where I'm like, this was so gay. Like, I was going through, I have all these notes. Like, I keep everything.
Okay.
I used to pass notes with my friends. So I'm like reading these old notes, and I'm like, I was in love with some of my friends. Like, we were basically dating.
Yeah.
Like, the way that we were bickering with each other and like,
Yeah.
you're not spending enough time with me, and I'm jealous that you're doing this and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh my God, this is just like gay, gay, gay. And like, my senior yearbook quote was an Ani DeFranco quote. I don't know if you know who Ani DeFranco is. She's
tell
a
me.
white woman with dreadlocks. And she is playing guitar. She's just gay. She's just so gay. And I was like, that's my girl. I was like, I love her down. In hindsight, I'm like, Franchesca, like, the closet was glass. Like, truly. It really, really was. It really, really was. So when I like realized it, it was like looking back and having all these moments of like, huh. And I think it really is a moment of representation matters. Like, I didn't have anybody that looked like me that identified as queer. Like, when I was in high school, we had Ellen DeGeneres, and Ellen identified as a lesbian, not queer. Like, we weren't even saying queer.
No, we weren't.
Queer was seen as like a slur, you know, and the community really reclaimed it. But it was like, you're a lesbian or you're gay, and to be a lesbian meant that you dressed a certain way, and to me, I was just like, well, I'm very much of the mind that your gender expression is whatever you want it to be. But at that time in my life, I was like, well, I'm not that. Like, I remember going to camp and like falling in love with this girl and being like, what's going on? Am I a lesbian? But I was like, but I still like boys. So like, no, I can't be, you know? It really wasn't until later in life where I started seeing that there were other ways to express your sexuality that aren't so stringent, that I realized like, oh, I don't really have to ascribe to say like, I will dress this way. I will, I think it's like the visual stuff of it all. But that also, I can still claim my queer identity when and if I'm attracted to men, which does still happen. But I think of myself as fluid in that, like, sometimes I feel I lean more this way and other times I lean the other.
Yeah. Was there like a post that you made about this? Because I feel like it was just like one day you just started talking about it. Because I was like, all right, cool. And it's funny because it didn't even like, I think I was just like, cool. And then I just moved on.
I think in 2020, there was, it was a few things.
Okay.
I got cast on Superstore.
Yes.
And
you were in the last two seasons.
Just one.
One season.
Last season 6.
Okay.
And when I auditioned for the part, the character didn't have much of a backstory. They said she was married, but they didn't really say much about her. And then as the show progressed, they decided that my character was a lesbian.
Okay.
And when it happened, I remember people on Twitter being like, why is Franchesca playing a lesbian? This is like ridiculous. Well, you're taking an opportunity away from a queer person. And I was like, actually, I'm one of y'all. And so I kind of had this moment where I was like, this is frustrating to me that I'm being like forced to say something about it, but also like, I don't think there's anything wrong with me disclosing that I'm queer. Like, I was okay with it. And so I think it was like National Coming Out Day.
Okay.
And I said, yeah, hey guys, like, I think I said something like, I cut my hair, I cut my nails. But y'all don't know now, like, here I am, I'm queer now. And like Out Magazine, like, wrote an article about it.
Wow.
My parents got a Google alert for it. My dad was like, what's this? And I was like, oh, yeah, hey guys. parents and their Google alerts.
Oh my gosh.
It was both my parents were like, hey, we're happy for you.
I love that.
Do what you got to do. And then, beyond that, again, I think this is also part of me making the transition of like, my life is not my content.
I love that.
Where like, I've dated people. I have not talked about them on social media. I've said like, oh, I went on a date, or my partner and I did such and such, but I'm not telling you like day to day or anything like that. And so I think it's just nice in order to maintain my own like sanity and also like, I don't need your input on that part of my life.
No.
Like, that's for me. And, but I do think it's important for people to see models of queer identity, queer love, queer joy. And so that's really important to me. But the privacy angle of it, I don't need to tell them everything.
Yeah, it's so good. It's good that you have those boundaries.
Yeah.
Boundaries are so important.
Yes.
People need to not know everything. And I think it also helps you maintain your sanity so you don't lose it when they start attacking that private part of you that you didn't even want to share.
Once you open that door, you can't close it. And that is a lesson that I had to learn very early on. And, it's a hard lesson to learn. And I see it happen with my friends. And I'm so thankful that a lot of people know they can come to me and ask me for advice.
Yeah.
And, Lovey is that for me. I'm that for other people. It's like, don't post that, girl. Don't do it. Don't share that. Come vent to me. Keep it in the group chat. Because once you let it out, you can't put it back in.
Yeah. And I learned so much from you through that. Because it's like, even when we have like I've asked you so many different things, like whether it's about details about like, hey, I don't know what's going on here with my content, or like, hey, can you help me understand this type of thing? Or if it's just like, hey, like, I don't really understand how like agents work, or like how managers work. And you always have been so forthcoming with that information.
Yeah.
And it's so helpful because like, it's interesting. When we first met, I wasn't even us doing this is like such a full circle
Well,
thing.
and you know what? I will take a little credit for this because we put you in an episode of Decoded.
Okay, so
and
I
remember we were doing an episode. I think it was about, I forget what it was about, but I think it was about like when you noticed your race or I can't remember. I just remember your hair was really big and it was on a white background and you looked gorgeous. And I remember we put you in the video and Andrew, my producer, was like, she's really good on camera. And I was like, she is really good on camera. And you were like, okay, sure, I'll do it. And then you were so good.
Oh my God.
And then it was like a few years later, I think that you did the Today Show or Good Morning America or one of those shows.
Yeah.
And it was just so cool to see you as the person who was doing that. And then I've seen you in like sponsored posts on my TikTok.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's got like the little sponsored by badge on it. It looks so professional in a studio. Even this, like you have a whole professional setup. It's so cool to see that you have transitioned to this stage in your career. And so I'll take a little credit for that one. But you had to have the talent in order to show up and actually do it. A lot of people want to be on camera.
Yeah.
Can't be on camera.
What do you think it takes? Like, what are you looking for? Because you're right. You do have an eye because you even knew about me.
Yeah.
You knew about everybody.
I was just like, oh, well, she's beautiful. She's funny. She's personable. Like, she'll be great on camera.
Yeah.
You definitely have to know yourself. And you can't be so self-conscious that you can't be authentically yourself on camera. I think sometimes there are some people who are so in their head that they're like, they can't, you have to be willing to like go there and be like, like if you can't just be weird on camera, it's going to come off as very stilted. For me, a thing that's been really helpful is, I'm a comedian by trade, but I did improv. And so I'm really good off the top of my head. Not everybody is. Something you have to practice. And even I took a hosting class on Decoded. I read a teleprompter. A lot of people don't know that I read a teleprompter. But I didn't know how to, so I took a class. I think you have to be willing to say, like, I want to be better on camera, so let me take an improv class. Let me take a hosting class. Let me take a public speaking course. Let me practice. Let me write my little script before I film. You just have to be willing to work at it.
Yeah, I remember the teleprompter because you were talking facts on Decoded.
And we were doing big names and numbers and dates, and it was just a lot.
Whoa.
I know.
The teleprompter, and you do it really well.
And you know what? I now have a teleprompter at home.
Do you?
I do.
Wait, so how do you hook it up? Like, do you do like an iPad?
Yeah, I use an iPad and I use like a teleprompter app. I just find that I can get through it so much faster, and I don't want to memorize it.
Yeah.
And I also do a thing, and Delina and we use a script when we do the podcast.
I didn't realize that.
A lot of people
can't tell at all.
A lot of people can't tell we're using a script because we do a thing where like some of it's scripted, and then we have like little discussion bullet points where we just like will go and riff on something. Mm-hmm. But we've been doing the podcast for so long and we know each other so well that we're really good at like dovetailing back in and saying, so to get back to the story, blah, 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 blah. And it's just practice. And I like a hybrid where I'm a little scripted and I'm a little off the cuff.
Okay.
So I can stay on track and I can hit the points that I need to, but I still have room to make jokes and riff if something comes up.
So producer, actress, host, writer, do you have a favorite?
Oh, God. Well, I will say most recently getting back to graphic design has been so fun. Like I really forgot how much I liked it and how good at it I am. And it's just so cool to have an idea and see it come to life. And that's what I love about TV. It's just a much longer process. And so I've been really craving that. So it's been really fun to be like, someone will say, oh, I love this thing. You need to make stickers out of this. I'm like, okay. And then I just draw it up, put it in the shop, and now I have some stickers. Even with the wallpaper, opening the package and seeing it and realizing like I made this was the coolest thing. It's just, there's really nothing like it. And there's a few girls on TikTok that have my wallpaper like in their living room, and every once in a while they pop up on my feed and I just get like the biggest endorphins rush. It's just so cool. I think it speaks to kind of my like gift giving nature. I like being able to like give you something that I made, and that just feels really special.
How do you focus? Because it's like you have all of these different things, and I know the calendar. I know you're about to say the calendar.
Yeah.
But how do you actually like? You're looking at all these different projects and you're getting pitched, I'm sure, to do things. Friends are being like, hey, you want to get involved in that?
Yeah.
How do you say yes? How do you say no? Or is it a gut feeling? Ooh. What are you doing?
Yeah. Something that I've encouraged people to think about is like, what's the big long-term goal? And then that helps kind of navigate when opportunities come to you. Like, do they reach your big goal? Mm-hmm. And for me, like my big goal is making people feel seen and telling untold stories. And so when opportunities come to me, if they don't line up with that, it's easy for me to say no. Mm-hmm. If I'm stretched really thin, and I will say that's something that I've really had to work on, saying no in the sense that like I can't help everyone and I definitely can't show up to the best of my ability if I'm burnt out. So sometimes I'm saying no, not because it doesn't align with me. I'm just like, I have too much on my plate right now and I need to show up my best self for the projects that I'm working on. Mm-hmm. And then for a lot of times when people pitch me things, and again, it's not the right fit for me, but I really like them, I love connecting them with someone else. I'm very big on saying like, I can't do this, but if you're open to it, I would love to give you some names and scroll through my phone. And the thing I always tell people to do, reach out first. I'm never going to just hand out your email. I'm going to text you and I'm going to say, hey, Delina, somebody asked me if someone could do X, Y, and Z. I can't do it. I thought of you. Are you okay if I put you guys on an email? You did this for me recently where you're like, I met somebody and she's working on this project and you guys would be great for each other. I love doing that. So that's in a way that helps me like navigate those times that I have to say no. It's not like a hard no. It's like a no, but one of these people might be right for it.
No, but maybe them.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so last question. On the show, I like to ask people who they feel has been a part of their village that has really taken it to the next level for them, or like just somebody that you want to shout out. And you're such a gift giver in the sense of like you've already mentioned so many incredible people.
I have name dropped.
Yeah.
Everyone's ears are ringing.
But this is the show that you do that because I feel like when you do that, you increase people's like their life gets better. Like my life got better. And it's really the inspiration for the show. So, okay, is there anybody like personally or professionally that you would say would be?
Okay, can I do personal and a professional?
100%.
Okay,
Both.
so
Yes.
professional, I'm
Yeah.
going to say Kay Cannon.
Okay.
She worked on 30 Rock. She wrote all of the Pitch Perfect movies. She's an incredible director. And Shamika and I sold our very first television show together, and she was our executive producer. And she taught me so much about the process of writing, about character development, about emotional journey. She is so quippy. She's so smart. When we were on strike, she was on the picket lines every single day. I mean, she really practices what she preaches. She had Shamika and I at her 50th birthday party, and she was on the dance floor, like just getting it. And I was like,
Throwing it
that's
back.
who I want to be at 50. Like hot, funny, life of the party, hardworking, creative, always giving opportunities to other people. And she really saw something in us where she said, you know, y'all have never written a TV show before, but I feel like you can do this, and I'm going to help you figure it out. And she's just become a great mentor and friend. And man, she was working on a movie, and she had me do punch-ups for it. So like I got to go and write some extra jokes for her. And she's shown me and Shamika cuts of movies and said, tell me what you would cut. And we're like, we'll cut this, we would cut this. And she's like, all right, cool. And then we get to go to the premiere. And like, she's just really the real deal. Very thankful for her. And then personally, I've already mentioned him, but I have to say Delon Grant, my best friend in the whole world, my soulmate. We met in college, and it was just like looking in a mirror. I mean, we got cast in a play together where we were writing everything in the play. And I remember being so pissed. Ugh, why am I cast in something? It's not a real play. We have to write the play. This is so stupid. And so he and I got paired together, and we started writing all of these funny sketches about the Black experience. And they were called the Black Reps. We were the representatives for the entire Black race. And when I tell you, I was in tears. We were just laughing so hard. And I was like, where have you been all my life? And he has just been, I'll get choked up, just an integral part of my life. He calls me out. He calls me in. If I ask him for advice, he always says, I'm going to tell you please tell me the real thing. Call me in the middle of the night. He needs something, vice versa. I mean, I can't tell you how many times, and when we were in college together, I was only there for my freshman and sophomore year. I left, and I remember him being so heartbroken. He was like, I can't believe you're leaving. And I was like, you are a forever friend. So like, this is not it. And he said to this day, he couldn't believe it, that like the next Christmas, I flew to Michigan. I was like, yeah, well, sure, I'll fly to Michigan. He's like, you don't even go to school here anymore. I was like, yeah, I'm coming to see you. Then I flew him to Miami. He's in a play. I'm going to be front row opening night. His mom can't visit for the show. Cool. I'll send you a plane ticket. Hey, I can't make rent this month. No problem. Here, Franchesca, help you. I mean, just without like a thought, you know, I need advice. I don't know how to make this work. He just shows up for me in the best ways, but he's painfully honest with me, not in a way to like hurt my feelings, but he's going to tell me the real truth and vice versa. And, you know, we go on vacation together. We always spend time together for our birthdays. He comes to visit me. I go to visit him. We've gone to multiple different countries together. We now have this podcast together. I mean, we complement each other in such a beautiful way. I'm so thankful for him.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
And just seeing you two together, when I see you two together, it's just like, you can just feel it.
Oh my God, we just cackle. And here's the
Y'all do
thing.
cackle.
When you listen to the podcast and you hear us laugh, that is what we are like all of the time, because we will sit on the phone. We do the show together, but we make time to talk to each other during the week, at least once a week, and we'll be on the phone for hours just cracking up. And sometimes it starts with, I'm really upset about something, or he's really upset about something. We're really having a challenge. And by the end of the phone call, we are in tears cracking up. And so he's my North Star, and he will forever be that for me.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay. Last thing, where can everybody follow you, and And of course, we already talked about getting the merch, but if you could mention that again.
Yes,
Okay.
of course.
Yes.
So you can go to shop.franchesca.net to get my Leopards merch. I have t-shirts, I have sweatshirts, I have stickers and mugs and bags. I'm very proud of all of that stuff. I've got some digital products too. I've got my social media masterclass happening April 19th and the 26th. You can go to shop.franchesca.net to find out more about it. You can find me all across social media as Chescaleigh, Chescaleigh. It's Franchesca Lee, my middle name. And yeah, I think that's it.
That's it. Wait, what about the wallpaper?
Oh, you can find the wallpaper at thisisautostudio.com, but there's also a link on shop.franchesca.net.
Okay, and the book?
You can find my publicist. You can find the book, Well, That Escalated Quickly, Memoirs and Mistakes of an Accidental Activist, wherever books are sold, but you can also go to the website, WTEQ.com, wellthatescalatedquickly.com.
Thank you.
Yay.
Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. This was so wonderful.
Amazing. Thank you so much for listening and for being a part of my village. Please leave us a review, and I will see you in the next episode.